Displaying Emily Burke proudly.
But yeah, man, welcome back to the Snake Trap Sessions. I am so excited to be back. Well, fam, we are definitely not in California anymore. I'll tell you that much. What is good, everybody? It's your boy MJ up in the building. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap Reptile Vlogs. First time hanging out, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You'll be reminded of every single vlog I do on my travels, at my own place. A lot of the times I like to show off my own collection and what's going on, but I am finally back on my travels, and I am in North Carolina. Behind me is my good buddy Bryan Suson's greenhouse. I'm at his property right now, hanging out with him, staying at his place, checking out his greenhouse, and then we're going to be driving about 20-25 minutes to another property where he keeps all his reptiles at a different facility. So you guys are in for one hell of a treat. If you don't know who Bryan Suson is from Sundown Reptiles, I highly suggest you go give him a follow right now on Instagram. Go look him up. He's been on Trap Talk Reptile Network numerous times. He's definitely one of the best doing it in the reptile game, and I'm about to prove that to you today on this vlog. So Bryan's behind me. He's inside the greenhouse right now. He's ready to show us a bunch of really cool stuff. Be ready to see some awesome plants you've never seen before. And on top of that, be ready to see some amazing freaking reptiles. Let's go. Chee! The stairway to the greenhouse. This is so bitchin'. All right, let's get in there. And this is Maze. What's up, Maze? One of the most prettiest pit bulls I've ever seen in my entire life. There's the man, Bryan Suson of Sundown Reptiles in the building. What's up, Bryan?
It's early. It's early. Don't get too close.
I gotta get close, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm tired.
Top of the morning. Why are you tired? I slept great last night.
You gotta go to the plants. I need time to wake up.
10 seconds later.
Show us the plants. Let's go. Come on. All right. So we're in your greenhouse. This is one amazing place to be. I've never seen plants like this. So why don't you kind of show us around right now, Bryan?
Everything in here is pretty much orchids, heavy on species. For it to make it in here, it either has to be a species or be fragrant. So kind of if we start over here, this whole row, you're going to notice these are all bare root. These are vandas. Orchids by nature are epiphytic, meaning that they're living, climbing on other trees. Whereas actually here in North Carolina, all the orchids that we have are terrestrial, so those you can find in the ground. But most of the orchids you see in orchid greenhouses or that are for sale are epiphytes, so I can leave these just bare root. Wow. And they'll just kind of, as long as I'm watering them, they're pretty happy.
How often do these need to get watered, Bryan?
The vandas get watered every day.
Wow, look at that.
Vanda tessellata. This is an Indian species. Really cool.
So you can't find these here in America, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, people are cultivating these. They're breeding them now. You know, just kind of I'm just giving you some background as to where some of them are found. This is another Vanda species. This is Vanda javieri. Real cool.
What does Vanda mean?
In the Philippines, that's just the genus.
Okay.
So this is Vanda lombocensis. It's a Sumatran species. This actually smells like barbecue sauce. It's really crazy.
I want to smell.
Sometimes it needs a little bit of daylight.
Oh my God, that smells like barbecue sauce. It does.
Yeah, right?
Bro,
People
wow.
say bacon bits.
I didn't know flowers could smell like this, Bryan. I really didn't.
Yeah, this is Sologeny rochusenii. This is another cool species. It's actually not supposed to be in bloom this time of year. This is kind of a freak at the moment. Yeah, a lot of other. Here's more vandas that are in bloom. This is Vanda florescensis.
So I noticed like a lot of these plants that are hanging, they're not like in typical pot of soil.
Oh
wow, that's so freaking good.
That's nice.
So hanging them versus putting them in like soil does what? Like why would you want to hang them like this?
So these plants, they want to have their roots exposed. So they're gathering their water from either rain or from humidity. So even if you do have them like in a pot like these, you'll see they're kind of growing out of them. They'll get their roots out. So it's just because.
So regardless what you put them in, that's going to happen, is what you're saying.
Ultimately, they're going to grow out of it. At which point you repot them. So it really depends, on what kind of orchids you're growing. Again, there are terrestrial orchids. This is Vanda mossiae, real pretty species. I'm sorry, Cattleya mossiae. This is not a Vanda. Hello. And we've got actually a pretty cool one. Not all orchids will smell good. There's a genus called Bulbophyllum that is pollinated by flies, and they can be very stinky. And this is Bulbophyllum echinolabium.
Which is a potentially stinky ass flower, is what you're saying.
Yeah, when this gets, we're in here pretty early, but when it gets warmer in here, it's gonna get really stinky.
So the warmer, the more you could smell, is what you're saying.
Just depends on when their pollinators are active. So your flies are gonna be active during the daytime, so there's no point in this plant pumping out fragrance during the night because the flies aren't active then. So all these species target their fragrance times around when their pollinators will be flying around. And there are nocturnally fragrant species of orchids as well, because you have some that are pollinated by moths and bats and so forth.
Damn. So can you explain to the people what these big ass trunks are in the middle of your greenhouse?
Yeah, so here in North Carolina and pretty much in the southeast, well, in the east here, we've got black locust, which is one of the hardest woods. Woodworkers actually hate using it because it'll dull their blades.
Right, wow.
So it's one of the hardest woods that we have, and so I brought these in just to mount plants on it, just to kind of give it a cool effect in here, a cool look. But
and you have two of these, right?
Yeah, and I pretty much just took like screws and kind of screwed them into there, and then one of the fun things with orchids is you can actually just get a nice piece of bark or a piece of wood that's really strong and is going to last. And you can mount your plant on there just with some fishing line. So it's kind of like a fun thing to do. It's like almost like a form of art.
Yeah, for sure. This is art, man.
Pick it and mount them on here. So these were all plants that I received bare root, and then just mounted them on.
So what's a hobby like this typically called? Like, what would you call this? Like, I mean, because reptile breeders.
Yeah.
But then what is this?
This is horticulture, but
horticulture
with a specialization in orchids.
Okay.
So. Yeah, we'll take you over here. This is one of my favorites. This just opened up yesterday.
Your internet's working.
This is a Gongora species. This is a Latin American genus of orchid. And these are incredible. This was one of the first genera of orchids that I saw when I was down in the Amazon. I got to see these in the wild, and they were getting hit up by orchid bees and bullet ants. And this one's starting to pump out a little bit of fragrance, but the flowers are super intricate. Some people say they look like little hummingbirds, but if you kind of back off of it, it almost looks like a cluster of wasps.
I mean, it definitely looks like almost like some hummingbirds.
Yeah, but that's a really cool species of Gongora. That's Gongora gratificunda.
And it's coming just out of this plant like this.
Yep, that's where the spike starts and goes down. So this is one. This is a different species
incredible.
of Gongora. Here's the old spike. This is one that just ended. And here's a new one that's coming out.
So they end and
they end
and then they start again?
Yeah, some species, it depends. Some of them they're one and done, but this guy's been going pretty hard. So yeah, what else have we got? There's a cool little Bolivian species of Oncidium. Really little dainty guy. Oh, this is your coffee that I'm holding.
Give it to me.
Drink. I don't know if I'm drinking that or not. Who else is blooming? This is a new one that just opened. This is a species of Silogeny that just opened up. And the cool thing about orchids, it's like, if you're into reptiles and the diversity, orchids, they almost look like little insects and are so different. There's so many different species.
It's crazy how reptiles and plants go hand in hand, huh?
Oh yeah, and there's so many different fragrances with these that it's just like, it's pretty easy to cross over if you're into them,
totally. I want to.
There's a couple other. This is a really cool one. Another species of Vanda. This is Vanda denisoniana.
Gee, look how pretty that is,
It's
man.
an orange form.
What do those smell like?
This one is pretty like jasmine-esque at night. I don't know if it's going to smell right now.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Yeah, usually at nighttime this one pumps pretty heavy.
So why nighttime would this one pump heavy?
Just that's when its pollinators are cruising around.
Okay.
Like little moths.
Now, how are the flies and like the insects in here? I mean, you have it pretty regulated, or how's it work?
No, I need to be on my game with that. We're coming into the warm season where
So when flies start to pop up.
it's more so I'm worried about slugs.
Oh, wow.
This is another Vanda. This is Vanda fotida. It's got a crummy lip on it, but smell that thing. It smells like chemicals.
Oh my, whoa, dude, that does smell like chemicals.
Yeah, but this is a species that you find in the Philippines as well.
So since we're over here towards these crazy fans, I asked you earlier, Brian, like how do you maintain temperature in this room? Like for instance, obviously you have cold temps here in North Carolina. You also have hot summer day temps. So how, first and foremost, tell us the range temperature wise you're shooting for in your greenhouse, and then when it does get too hot, like how are you controlling everything in here?
I try to not let the temps get below 64 in the wintertime. So when that happens, I've got 2 heaters. One of them is just simply a backup in case the other fails. Because if one fails and it's wintertime, then you know you're toast if one of them goes out.
Right.
So one is just a backup. And then as far as the summertime, now that temps are getting warmer, we've got 2 exhaust fans that will pull air from the gables in the back. And those are simply swamp coolers.
Yeah, show us the gable. What are gables? I don't even know what a gable is.
So basically what'll happen is cold water will run over these cooling pads.
Is that what
And
those
then-
are? Those are cooling
They're
pads?
cooling pads, and then there's like a vent in the back that opens behind them.
Okay.
So it allows air to come in. So those exhaust fans will pull air in basically in 3 phases. Phase 1 is one exhaust, phase 2 is the second, phase 3, this will have cold water trickling over it, and now it's pulling cold air through those vents. So that's how it's essentially cooled in here.
Wow. And so again, air comes in here, and then the hot air gets dispersed out there. Like so that it sucks it out, correct?
Correct.
Do you have that in your reptile room at your other facility?
I do have exhaust fans in each of the rooms for the reptiles as well.
Do you think that's important for a facility to have exhaust fans? Like even if you have AC
do.
and whatnot? Yeah.
I do. Yeah, you don't want stale air. It just helps to kind of pull fresh air through, so definitely.
Okay. Totally. Awesome. Now this room is like your haven, right? Like this is a therapeutic place for you, right, Brian? Like
It's a happy place.
you like to come here every morning, like kind of like get your mind right and whatnot. And-
Exactly. Yeah, this is, I mean, I've been into orchids since I was a little kid. Orchids and reptiles since I was tiny. So, you know, this is just a recent thing. It's like childhood dream that I was finally able to achieve. So, yeah, I come in here and just enjoy and smell, you know, the good flowers, and I love it. I love it.
I love that dog over there is what I love right there. Mace! Mace! Come here! Oh my God. Even on camera, this thing is nuts. Oh wow. All right, guys, that was Bryan Suson's green room. Freaking epic. Never have I ever seen so many cool plants in my entire life. Mind you, plants that are actually from a whole nother part of this world. But yeah, that was Bryan Suson's greenhouse. We're now going to take off about 25 minutes or so to another location where he has all his reptiles, okay? If you know Brian from Sundown Reptiles, you know damn well he has tapped into some amazing high-end geckos, abronia, and of course the tree monitors. Basically why I'm really here, man. I'm here for the tree monitors. Let's keep it real. I'm also having a great time just hanging out with Brian, man. He's, like I said, one of the best individuals I've ever met in the reptile game. Really cool to call him my friend, and I'm so excited. I do want to say that this vlog is only possible because it was sponsored by my buddy Kenneth Jordan over at City Limit Exotics. He's new, up and coming in the ball python game. I suggest heading over to his Instagram. Go give him a follow. If you're into ball pythons, you're going to want to see exactly what projects he's tapping into, because he's definitely about to make a name for himself. So thank you, Kenneth Jordan from City Limit Exotics, for sponsoring this vlog and this podcast I'm going to be doing today later on with Bryan Suson and Brandon Van Asten. I'm just having the time of my life, and it's all because of Kenneth. Thank you so much. But yes, let's head inside the car, and why don't we take off? I don't know where we're going, east, south, north, who knows? 25 minutes or so to another location, and let's check out all these amazing reptiles. Let's go. Jay. We are at the secret location.
Watch your step. Displaying Emily Burke proudly.
Didn't you send me this? You did, huh?
Yeah, this is the original.
That's the
right
OG
here.
one right there. Wow, shout out to Emily Burke. Man, here we are. So this came from whom, sorry?
That's from Brandon at Canadian Cold Blood.
And that's the sire.
Yep. And here's another holdback. This is another sibling. So I held back 2 females, and she's beautiful.
Wow, dude, that is so gorgeous.
This one's got a little bit more black.
And again, something that a lot of greens don't carry. They don't carry that black, right? From what I've seen, like not like that, not to like that kind of contrast.
I mean, the yellows get more black on them than the males do.
There she is. There he goes.
So yeah, this is all more yellows on here. And then we get over to some of my blues. This is like the blue wall. And this girl here, this is my OG female that kind of has produced a lot of my offspring. If you look under her neck, she actually got that little part under her neck that's kind of chipped. That's from when the male grabbed her and sliced her throat open. She was fully gravid a week away from laying, and she's actually really chilled too.
And she recover okay from that? Obviously, she looks fine, but
great.
yeah. Is this the legendary one that actually hopped off your head as you were like?
Yeah, this
Wow.
is her.
Okay. All right. I know this one very well.
This
Then.
is her. But yeah, she's produced a ton of babies, and that's the boy.
Dude, the boy's big, bro. These are big,
He's probably the
dude.
largest. He's the largest tree monitor that I have. Although I've got a yellow male that rivals him.
So when was her last clutch?
She laid about 2 months ago, I want to say.
Okay.
So.
And I know we talked about this before, but for the vlog's sake, like when do you usually add a male after the female's laid a clutch?
I'll just give the female some time to like recuperate, get some weight back on her. Usually, I'm kind of dependent on the body of the female. Usually it's around a month.
Okay.
And then this is a really nice, it's a shame you can't see her, but she's a psycho. We can feed her later.
Is she?
But she's one of my babies that I held back. And that's probably the prettiest blue tree that I've ever seen. I mean, it's kind of hard to see her color, but
It's okay.
when we feed her, you can get a good look.
And so she's more of the not so trying to get handled type, is what you're saying. Like she'd rather not be
I never
handled.
worked with her. She is captive bred. She'll eat from tongue. She'll eat from my hand, but she'll also, she's not something that I'll handle like her.
Right.
So, yeah, that's another male that is just a future breeder. I'll probably pair these 2 up. So he's real nice too.
Badass.
And then these are all blacks on this wall.
Oh yeah, Bakari. Now, when did you start working with blacks? When did they come into the mix for you as far as, all your tree monitor projects go?
I'd say like a year and a half ago. I was kind of late to get them just because I knew I could get them. But yeah, they are, I definitely enjoy them a lot.
Have you produced blacks yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't even have any of them paired yet. So I kind of just now acquired some females that are ready to breed. So
I know people's first thoughts watching this video is what are the dimensions of the caging? So why don't you just go ahead and break down the dimensions if that's cool?
yeah,
right?
each cage is 4 feet tall by 4 feet wide by 2 feet deep. And then I also like to do these dividers in the cages. So for every cage, for every pair that I have together, I've got these doors. And this is kind of something that I started up a long time ago when I first got into these. And now you're starting to see more people doing it.
Right.
But
Transport doors.
These doors, that just makes it very easy for you to tease feed an animal into the other cage next to it.
Versus grabbing them or going
Just
through all
grabbing
that.
them. Yeah, but so essentially when they're open, they're utilizing 8 feet of space for the pair.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's awesome, man.
But that was something I started doing 5 years ago when I first got into these guys.
It makes a lot of sense.
So that was something that I had seen a long time ago in Europe on this video. This guy who actually had a door going underground to another, and he had some large species of monitor. But with all my reptiles, I just, I kind of subscribe to kind of making sure that you can separate when need be. So, I mean, this is arguably the coolest thing about this room is just that I essentially have all of each zone, depending on which wall I've got, on its own fluorescent fixture, and then I've got them on their own dimmer for each unit. So, for instance, for this wall here, which is East 1, I can go ahead and if you look up at that basking bulb, I can just power it up or power it down from over here.
Oh, so it has a dimmer.
It's a dimmer. Yeah.
Right. So this is the wall of black tree monitors, I'm assuming, right? For the most part, all blacks. And are most of these captive born and bred? Are they imports?
Yeah, there's some that I have gotten that were long-term captives. Some of them were imports in this room as well, especially when you get to the Bomai.
Right.
It's not like you had the option to buy captive bred with the Bomai.
Right.
But I definitely have tried to source everything captive bred that I could. And
Yeah.
then, I had some animals fall into my lap too that were inevitably wild-caught animals at some point.
Now the naturalistic back wall, the branches, I think this is ideal. This looks so awesome. Where do you get your walling from? Where do you get that cork wall from? Because it looks awesome.
So I've got it from a bunch of different sources. The most recent source that I've gotten it from is Pangea Reptile.
Okay.
sell-
Because that stuff could run steep, man. That's why it's
yeah.
like, it's worth it, but you almost have to shop around and see where you could get some of the best price stuff because, this stuff could get expensive.
Yeah. But they definitely sell the panels there, and John DeBoer and Matt Parks have kind of hooked me up with that. So
Cool, shout out to them.
They're a good source.
Right on.
Yeah, we've got some Pilbarensis in here.
Nice, some
Rhinus
dwarf
pilbarensis.
monitors. All right.
This is the only species that I work with currently, but
Bitchin'. I am so happy you have these. I kind of knew that you have these, but now would you say for anyone out there, because monitors are getting popular, man, but it's kind of like a retic. You can't just jump into a big monitor if you have no idea what you're doing with these. So do you feel like a dwarf monitor species is good for any new monitor keeper?
Oh, for sure. And if you talk to a lot of monitor folks, they'll recommend Ackies.
Right.
And Ackies are great. I just have always liked. I'm a sucker for orange, and so
Yeah, right.
the Pilbarensis have kind of always been a thing that just their colors and the look of them I just love.
And they're not worked with enough also, right? Like Ackies are more worked with versus these, you would say, right?
Correct. Cool.
That's awesome.
And in here we've got some various greens.
Ooh, look at the greens. That's pretty, bro.
Yeah, most of these have got some really nice blue pattern on their back.
Wow. That's freaking gorgeous. Now, I noticed that there's some green tree monitors that almost look like they're freaking blue. And I noticed some people call them emeralds. Is emerald and green tree monitors the same thing? Okay.
Same thing.
So what would be
there's
the
different localities, I think.
Okay, like sarongs or whatever?
Yeah, but the thing about sarongs, what people call a sarong isn't even a sarong.
Okay.
So it's a term
That's something-
that we've used.
Marketing.
But after, talking with Chris Applin, he, has shed some light on some locality of these that's actually an island where you will get the high blue pattern on their back. So
Shout out to Chris, man. Chris is an awesome dude.
it's not, I think sarong is just like the port where they've gone into, quite possibly, but yeah.
Green. Now we're in the green section here, right? Now I noticed
Silver greens.
I noticed you got writing on the windows. Now is this just to remind you as far as like the daily maintenance on them, or what's going on with like I see quail mist. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's all for employees.
Oh, got you.
For employees.
Okay.
So
And how many employees do you have?
currently two.
Two.
Technically 3, but one of them is just he's like a powerhouse behind this place. He's volunteered and like built all of these cages.
Wow.
Installed all the backgrounds, all the light fixtures.
That has to be game changing, dude.
Yeah, so shout out to the team.
Yeah, shout out to the
Joel,
team.
We got Mike, Beaver, and Reed. who's been new to the team and coming out and helping out. So.
Yeah, shout out to Reed. I just met him this morning. Really cool guy.
Yeah. And now we're into some Cordensis.
Here we go. Okay, so props to you because that baby Cordensis is doing great, man. It's definitely one of my favorite tree monitors to interact with. And definitely, I don't want to say super uncommon, but not your typical tree monitor that's being worked with right now, right?
Yeah, there's not been a lot of captive bred cordos. There's a few people who've been producing them in the States.
Right.
So I'm definitely happy to be kind of working with these guys now. I mean, I originally started with just the blues and the yellows, and it kind of just once, you know, it seemed natural once you get some success with those that I kind of branched out and just, if I can fill a niche of providing captive bred tree monitors of all species to folks. That means less wild caught animals being purchased, hopefully, and maybe taking a little bit of the pressure off animals coming out of the wild, which would be nice. So, but yeah, you'll notice some variability in the coloration on these guys. That's an older male. This one actually was captive bred.
Because these just give off a prehistoric look, man. Like just something like more from the land before time type shit, you know?
Yeah. But that was an animal produced by Garrett Miller. And then some of these were, you can just see that's another male.
Dude, look at that one. That one's a little definitely brighter. This kind of looks like the baby I got from you. Like the way the pattern is. So did this male sire anything or?
No, not yet.
Okay,
I've not paired him. And then here's like a real yellowy animal.
Female?
Yep, young female. She's got really nice pattern on her.
And so from your experience, like, you know, you have something you hold back, let's say it's a female, when do you feel comfortable pairing that animal?
3 years, always 3 years.
Even with the males?
Males, no, but for a female, I go 3 years. And there's people who will pair earlier than that, but usually it's
not a good
poor results.
Right.
Female. Yeah, that writing that's on the cages is mostly just for the employees when I go out of town, just to give a guideline of what we're feeding. So, and then this is these are the parents to yours right here.
Whoa, look at this. Epic.
And she's gravid right now, so she should be dropping another clutch pretty soon.
Now, have you noticed when they're gravid, Brian, do they spend more time under the basking? Are they kind of closer to it, or?
They will. Yeah, they'll naturally hang out underneath there. There's a little clutch from this pair of cordos.
So this is a second one you got from them, right?
Yeah, these will be siblings to yours. Some little babies, or babies soon to be.
Might need to grab one of those.
Message!
Now, what's the behavior like with these Cordensis, you would say? I mean, have they been kind of, is it like the same thing you say? Like you just got to work with them and break through
Depends on if they're captive bred or wild caught, to be honest. You know, but I haven't raised up any of my babies. The two babies that I had, you got one and another went to another keeper. So I didn't really keep any back for myself, but they're pretty trusting. This was a female here that came from Steven, and she wasn't captive bred, but she was an animal that he acquired when she was really young.
Wow.
But yeah.
Hi, beautiful
I've
girl.
not gotten any good eggs from her yet, but
And what's her age, do you know?
she's around 4, I would say. And he was captive bred. He's a sibling to that other male. That's another Garrett Miller male. He had a clutch a while back and produced them, and they're pretty trusting. They'll eat from the hand for sure, but handleability.
It's a whole nother level when it comes to trust, right?
And I don't really handle these guys that much, so I'm not putting in the work.
Well, I mean, they're not really something like, they're not daily handleable type animals. Like, I mean, like, you maintenance them, you know, it's cool if you could take them out, but they're not really animals that are like, you know, a ball python where you take it out and put it on your lap and hang out for the whole hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's like the Cordo section.
I got to get a little, is there something in here?
No, this is their door.
I just want to see I just want to get a shot of this slot real quick. I mean, it looks very straightforward. So you just drill holes, obviously take your measurements, make sure it lines up, and then...
Yeah. That just gives you a larger cage, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty, like, you know, I know Brandon, he breeds the daylights out of tree monitors up there in Canada, and he doesn't use those doors, and he does it fine in his 4x4x2s as well. So
right.
It's not like it's an essential, but it just, for me, it's just a personal thing that I like. And I've kind of always, again, even with my geckos, I always do separation and so forth. So
Now, do you leave this door, like I know there was this Cordensis right here is gravid. This male's door is also open. Is that just so in case he's over it and he wants to go over there, he could just go over there, or?
yeah, pretty soon. I mean, once it gets to the point where I feel like I need to, I'll give her space, you know, so she can do her laying in privacy, you know.
Wow. Cordensis, check. Now where are we at?
Yeah, so over
Oh,
here.
wow.
This is
Oh my gosh. No, we are in the Ruth Chris of tree monitors right now. For sure. We are in the gold spotted tree monitor section. Brandis,
anything with anything with II at the end is EI, but these guys, BOEHMEI, it's BOMI.
So
Cordensis. Your blacks are Bacardi I.
Why do you have a heat pad on the floor like that?
I actually am gutting all of their nest boxes right now.
Oh, that was their nest box. Oh,
yeah, you'll
gotcha.
see some heat pads. I'm just doing a substrate change in all my nest boxes for animals that are not currently nesting.
Right.
And she laid recently, but her face, man, you got to get a close up of her
Dude,
face.
this thing is badass. So this is the girl who she laid a clutch for you.
Yeah, she's the dam of one clutch, but I've got another female that's has other eggs.
No, don't go in there.
That's all right. There's more out. Yeah, like this is an example of animals that there weren't any captive bred to acquire, and I was fortunate to be able to get some of these from a few different sources.
Damn, these are so sick, bro. Like this is my first time seeing one in person.
Okay, well, you can come down to this.
Good. I won't get into that.
But
Wow, so they get pretty big too.
yeah, I can get up higher for you. Wow. And this is the other female right here that produced a couple clutches for me. So
Now you have gold spotted tree monitor eggs in the incubator, correct?
correct.
Wow, okay. So what's your ratio with the gold spotted Bomia?
I've got a good little group.
Message!
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is one of the nest boxes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this is a nest box that I was prototyping out with Nick over at Animal Plastics, who also is a tree monitor breeder.
Nice.
And has had some really nice success with blues and greens, and actually traded and got a nice female from him. But Animal Plastics, it's all the caging in here, and yeah, I'm really excited about these nest boxes with them. Just kind of provides different entry points and different things that I like about what I look for in a nest box. So I've kind of been experimenting these with Nick. He had kind of originally, it was definitely his idea from the get-go, and just kind of asked me as for feedback and what I would change. And so I've definitely made some changes with it and things that I find useful.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty fun to be working with Animal Plastics and Nick, especially over there, and Allie. They're good folks. There's a little girl just kind of peeking at you through the cork. She's kind of hanging out.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah, just being a little shy.
So the Bomias are the most recent tree monitor species that you've added, as far as, or you've had them before the blacks?
Honestly, the last species that I added were greens.
Oh, really? Go figure. The one, like the most common.
Yeah. And then these here are all my offspring.
Holdbacks and stuff like that?
Yeah, some of these are spoken for. A lot of them are spoken for that are just going out they have yet to go to their homes, waiting on folks to finish their cages. That's one of my blues. I should be holding this one back.
This is a real pretty one,
nice
man.
male.
Wow.
Really nice male.
I like personally, the smaller the blue dots and the more black on the Like, this is my ideal blue right here. I love blue, don't get me wrong, but like this, the more black for me, man.
Yeah, he's a stunner. And then here's another sibling to your yellow. This is a female that's also going to a new home. This one's spoken for.
This one looks a little bigger than mine.
Yeah, it's also older.
Oh, it's older. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow, that's freaking pretty, bro.
Amazing
Look at that.
color. People want to rag on.
Who rags on yellow? Someone who doesn't have a yellow?
They look at them and, you know, I think they're green, but it's just when they see the babies again, when they get older.
It's a whole nother
in
level.
In my mind, there's not a prettier tree monitor than a yellow like that. That's what got me into tree monitors is that animal.
Epic.
So yeah, we got a couple more yellows.
Now this looks more kind of similar to the size of mine right now. Is this a sibling?
This would be a
clutch
sibling.
mate?
This would be a clutch mate.
Okay.
And there's a difference between them of roughly 4 months.
Wow.
Green here. This one I did not produce.
Right, because you have not produced greens yet, right?
Correct. But if you get a top down on that, look at the blue on the back of that thing. I don't know if it'll show, but that one's got, basically with the greens, I've been trying to be real selective with the coloration on them and the blue. And another blue female, and then a little baby that recently hatched blue. Both of these are also sold and heading out. A lot of this stuff is kind of waiting to go to.
So Bryan, since we're looking at like basically raise up tree monitors and you sell a lot of tree monitors, when someone comes to you and says, what do I need to provide for a tree monitor? Like what do you tell your customers? Like what is it that you break down for them?
This is what I show them. This is exactly how I raise up my babies, are in these. And some of these animals are ready to go, like these are ready to go into bigger enclosures now.
Right.
This is a stunner. This one, I mean, I don't know, the yellows and some really nice greens. This is a Cody Cop green. That thing is, the blue on the back of that animal is ridiculous.
Cody produces some amazing greens, man.
Yeah, that's in contention for my favorite animal in the building.
Look at the back.
I didn't even produce it, so.
Look at the back, man.
But as far as handleability and nice,
The blacks are the best for sure.
well, they're good. But this is a sibling to yours. This came from Bryan over
Spotty Life?
Yeah, it's Spotlight.
That's my guy, bro.
And I mean, yeah, this is what everybody wants.
Dude, what is it about him and his black trees, man? They're amazing. They're just so cool.
Yeah, but definitely very, very tame. This is probably the most like personable animal. I said this is the nicest animal in my collection, but I had a friend over the other day, and she was holding this animal. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the nicest one. And we were holding the geckos before we held this, and she was holding this little girl, and she just all of a sudden started licking, tasted the gecko on her, and chomped into the meat of her hand.
Oh, boy.
I kind of felt bad about that, but luckily she let go.
Was it as bad as your crested gecko bite?
Oh yeah. Where is it? Crested's right there.
Yeah, crested gecko
No,
bite.
I was joking. That was actually a bowmai bite, so I can't believe people were believing me on that. But if you don't know my humor, I guess you can understand.
Yeah, like my Patreon members. Way to believe that one. I was one of them.
Right, yeah.
All right. Dude, that is bitching. Yep. This is epic, bro.
That's everybody. That's all the species.
The real treehouse.
And no, Eddie's got the real treehouse, man. I stole that. That was a good coin, but so I can't call this a treehouse. That's Eddie's. But
Eddie, Father Blue?
yeah.
Yeah, but this is your chapter of a treehouse. He's in New York. You know what I mean? I think there could be chapters. You know what I'm
I just
saying?
got to come up with a different name for it.
That is a cool name. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out to Eddie. Man, shout out to this room though, bro. I mean, this is just incredible. And this room was done how long ago? Like when you bought this property at this facility, how long ago was this?
Yeah, it's probably been, it's constantly evolving. I just got the system done and some of these cages done. We're looking at probably in functional use right around a year. So it's pretty fresh.
Whatever you're doing, it looks great, bro. I mean, I know you've had a lot of help, so shout out to everyone who's helped you so far, but this is definitely a dream for me to have exactly what you have. This is so epic.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. It's been a lot of work. A lot of work.
Now, on this specific property, there's more than just this room, right? So we're only in the tree monitor building. You have more stuff, obviously, that you're even known for, like your geckos, your abronia. So why don't we get to that room and check those rooms out?
Cool. Let's do it.
So we cannot leave this room without actually seeing what's in the incubator, my man. So what's cooking, Bryan?
Yeah, so basically any species that we have that are paired, we've got clutches. So we've got everything from Macraei to Cordensis, the Reisingeri, and Bomi. And we've got one little lone Pilbarensis egg that's due to hatch here, but is not. So, but some of these could pop at any moment.
It's a lot of eggs in there, bro.
So yeah, there are a lot of babies that are going to be coming this season for sure. So
This is epic to see, bro. This is so freaking epic, man.
so if people are looking for tree monitors and you want to support captive bred,
That's the man right here, man. This is the man. Yeah. Shout out to Bryan. This is so cool. The other facility, which he keeps all his geckos. He has a bronia inside here and even has some chondros. Can you believe it? He has chondros. So let's tap in and let's see what this facility is all about. Gee. Nice storage area. Oh, we've got a guard horse here. Maze, come here. Protecting the building as always. All right, Bryan. Now where are we at, my man?
we are in the gecko building. So this is where we have a lot of our New Caledonian and Australian projects. Those are my core base species that I work with.
So we're in the foundation right now. Like this is kind of what sets you up for success with everything else you have going on in the reptile game. Wow,
Correct.
this is awesome.
So a lot of our New Cal stuff, most notably the mossy prehensile-tailed geckos, the Naira gecko kahua, which here's a really nice male right there, just hanging out. And it is that time of year where we're looking for eggs. So I'll kind of go through and...
I think you pulled eggs from this one last night.
So one next to it, is this cage right here.
Oh, it's the one next to it, okay.
But we still check everybody. So most of this wall here is either kahua or lychees, the giant geckos. So yeah, we just kind of make the rounds. But awesome thing about the mossy geckos, these kahua, is that they're just super variable in coloration. So you can get nice peaches like that. You can also get, you can find our green boy here. Let's see if he'll come out. There he is. So you can get stuff that's peach. You can get greens. We gotta watch out for her tail. And then even you can get really nice reds. Like this girl, you should get a little close up. Oh, she's tucking away. So just a lot of variability.
Wow.
So just what makes this species so awesome. These are all the same thing.
Same species.
Same species, just a lot of polymorphism. So.
And how can you explain polymorphism?
Polymorphism is just a variation in color, a naturally occurring variation in color within a given species. So same thing with your Amazon tree boas, right? You can get a litter and you get reds, you get yellows, you get garden phase. So that's just an example of polymorphism. Same thing with your kahua. You can get all different colors from pinks to greens to peaches to browns to blacks. A lot of color variation, and these are all Pine Island animals right here.
Man, so bread and butter for you, huh?
Yeah, and then you can even get, there's been a trend towards producing a lot of high white animals. And actually this one's not fired right now, so let's see if we can find somebody else who's got a lot of white on them right now.
Now, what causes one of these to get fired up? Like, how does that work?
Temperature, humidity, whether they've been sprayed recently with water, night versus day. So the photo period also is in control of that. But so just more color varieties with these guys.
Dude, it's a Chihuahua party.
Here's get under the light. But yeah, just to me, I mean, I don't know. This is just amazing variation within a species. Just tough to beat Kahua.
So would you say combines about on your arms right now about like 60K or?
Yeah, they can be pricey. The more white you have, that tends to be the more expensive, but you know, you can get a beautiful animal that just is really nicely colored like either of these two. That's a lot more affordable. And you know, usually babies will start out at like on the low end like 350, and then they go up from there.
Now I have to ask you, how did one of these get produced? Like were you able to start creating a line like this, or did it come from someone? Like how did this actually like come about?
So yeah, there's definite line breeding for color and for the white for sure. The animals are displaying more white than there ever has been in the hobby. So that is something that has been selectively bred in captivity. But you know, in the wild, from animals that I've seen photos of in the wild, you can get something like this in the wild or something like this in the wild. So it's just the extreme high white you're not really seeing in the wild.
Right, and that's a captivity thing.
It is. It is. But yeah, they're awesome. I love these guys.
Let's see if you got a good memory putting where to put them back, obviously, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now the temperament seems really cool too. Like you're not really getting nipped on. Like they're just kind of just chilling on you.
They're pretty chill. I don't know if you caught, this one gave me a little nip when I was holding it a second ago.
Oh, really? I didn't even catch that.
They're very chill. When you have them like in the cage, they can be defensive, and I'll show you an example of that. But once you get them out of the cage, it's like they turn into puppy dogs. So very chill animals. But a female will guard her eggs, and a male will sometimes just guard the female.
Right.
So
is there any combating between females and males when there's an egg laid? Like, do you have to be worried about that?
Not necessarily with egg laying, but more so with compatibility. Kind of like the same thing you'll experience with your giant geckos. Let's see if we can show you a defensive male. If we can find him. I just kind of hold my hand out. Hold on, they come find me. Come on, buddy. Come on. There
Oh,
he
wow.
comes.
Dude,
There he
that
comes.
guy is...
He's ready for battle, so he'll get me.
Whoa! That's what he came out ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, so they'll just...
Dude, I've never seen that. Look at that.
So he's he's a very territorial male.
Look at him, yeah.
But...
So that's not common for captivity though, right? Is that?
Yeah, certain males. Some males could care less about me going in there, but other ones are kind of like him. Like, it just depends. They each have their own personality.
Right, just like in, us humans.
I don't know where this boy is, but yeah, I've got a handful of males that they come out at me like that.
That was neat. And the bite didn't do anything to you.
No, they can draw like a little bit of blood
If they bite you just right.
Yeah, if they get... See, here comes another male that's defensive. Let's see.
Whoa, that is so cool, man. That is the cutest thing ever. Look at that. Wow.
Yeah, that's no big deal when they get you.
Let me see your finger.
Nothing. Maybe like a little tiny puncture.
And you had the nerve to tell people that was a crested gecko bite?
Yeah, I was joking about that. That was a monitor.
That's like one stage away from stitches, bro. Like that's literally
it
like
probably could have
one
used
stage
stitches.
away from stitches.
Yeah.
It's gonna have a cool scar though.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So yeah,
That's
so
neat.
those are the Kahua. We've also got some really cool lychee projects that I've got going that I really love. I've got a pair of GTs, the Grand Terres, that are producing these amazing purple bars on these guys. It can be tricky to tell on my cell phone sometimes.
I can see it.
These are big, and this is unfired, so this animal will get almost jet black. A lot of people ask me if they're melanistics, and they've got these big purple bars, and that's a GT. So historically, a lot of the coloration that you'd see on your animals was from your island crosses or your island localities.
What's GT stand for?
Grand Terre, which is your mainland in New Caledonia. So I've been producing a couple generations of these guys now that are just awesome. Really big, colorful lychees. And they're just, I love them.
What would a bite like a guy like this do?
You wouldn't want to bite from that. That would be not pleasant. So yeah, we've got a lot of different leeches, but that's kind of one of my favorite projects is just my high color GTs.
And what you just showed right now, primarily what are they eating? How often?
So all these, so your kahua are mostly eating your crested gecko diets, your Pangea, Rapashi, as well as crickets. The leeches I primarily feed just the diet, that fruit diet from Pangea or Rapashi. And I'm doing about every other to every third day, depending. And now over here, this is my favorite species of gecko, very close with the kahua, which are your northern spiny-tailed geckos.
Yeah, dude, these are so
And these just are incredible just because they it's an Australian species, and they almost look like a piece of Aboriginal artwork. But just amazing color on these guys. They've got spines on their tails.
Wait, wasn't this a different color last night? Like, it was like white.
Yeah, so they can fire up and fire down as well. But you do get variation with these. So you can get high black, you can get high orange. A lot of that orange that's on the body and on the head, that is something that I've kind of been selectively breeding for. And I've been working with these since 2010.
The tails, man. The tails are so neat.
So yeah, you'll get, so that's like an example of more of a higher orange.
I notice all these cages have their own nozzle. Like, this is all on misting systems as well.
Yeah, we've got the same. So here's an example of one that's fired down. This is kind of more like maybe what you saw last night. So this one's kind of very pale. But this can get that same coloration as the other, getting very dark. And that's just a fired down example of a high orange animal that has also got some really cool black spotting on it.
That is so freaking neat, bro.
Yeah, to me, I mean, that's just tough to beat. If you can see those eye spines, it's kind of hard to tell, but they've got these black spines, which can be orange or white.
I can see one. These ones are black. Whoa, can you keep that still real quick? Bro, hold on. Oh my God, look at that. It looks like a little devil. Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I love these. This was kind of like my intro back in the lizards after I was just keeping chondros for a while. So.
And remember that word chondro, guys, because yes, he has chondros here that he barely cares about.
We've got some really cool Aussie leaf-tail geckos in here. This is the rough-throated leaf-tail gecko. Whoa. Super camouflaged.
Wow.
And these are, I'll pick them up off there, you can kind of see them a little bit better. But
dude, look at that. That is so freaking neat.
But yeah, these are cricket eaters as well. I keep them kind of at the same temps as all my New Caledonian geckos. Pretty easy to produce.
Drop those temps since we're in this room. What are your temps in here?
We're in the 70s,
okay.
like low 70s, low to mid 70s will fluctuate.
Right.
Winter time, it'll get down into the 60s.
Okay.
So this room kind of fluctuates a little bit more. But those are your rough-throated leaf tails. We've also got the riverine leaf-tail gecko, which in the wild is one of the rarest reptiles on the planet. They're only found from one very small mountain top in Australia.
Wow.
And these are darn near as easy to produce as crested geckos. Very, very prolific. Cricket eaters, though, you're not giving them the diet. And
so solely insects.
Solely insects. And this is your riverine leaf-tailed gecko, Phylurus amnicola.
Now, what would happen if you did give this thing that powder diet mix? Would it not digest well, or is this not something
they're just not even going to touch it?
Oh, got you. Not even interested.
But, and I was kind of showing you, they're almost like translucent on the underside.
Yeah,
you
look
can
at
kind
that.
of see
Like a lutistic.
the organs through there. And on a female, that makes it very easy to see her eggs if she's gravid.
Too bad chondros can't do that.
Yeah, right?
That is really neat, man. So can you give us a range as far as the amount of species of geckos that are in this room that you work with?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to count. But
more than 10 or less than 10?
Yeah, I'd say more than 10. More than 10 in here. Yeah. So,
wow.
But yeah, that's the majority of kind of what's being worked with in here. This is how I raise out my baby spiny tails. And we're currently in the process of getting some more caging. this behind us is going to be for all the chondro juveniles that are in racks right now. And then also behind you in these tubs, we're currently how I'm breeding some of my gargoyles, but these are also getting new cages that I'm having built by Animal Plastics that will be very similar to this. It's a push, kind of like a push system for our cages.
Yeah, these are really neat.
So
I've never seen anything like that.
AP's working on these for me right now.
Really neat.
So this wall is going to be this, which is what we'll convert our gargoyle breeders into as well.
Now, Bryan, I mean, you being a vet in the reptile game, you will still say like this, everything that you're doing and talking about is always evolving. Like there's always a next step, I feel like. I mean, being in this facility and being in different rooms, you're still telling me that there's more that you want to do, and it's just amazing.
Right. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of caging upgrades, mostly. So, like, again, this wall, I used to have tree monitors in here on this wall.
Wow.
And, basically this will be all cages like you saw for the gargoyle geckos.
Okay, now listen, before we get to, you know what I mean? Like this is, what's amazing about Bryan is everything that we're seeing today, but also like this guy has quite the resume on chondros. But what was it with you and chondros? Like that was something that you were super heavy in, and then now it's like the back burner project on your list. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who's worked with chondros has had their woes, and it used to be a project that I had. That's pretty much all I kept just because I traveled a lot at the time.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, after keeping them for years, and this was kind of before the whole NIDO thing was known, a lot of folks were having trouble with collections and animals just kind of dropping. And I think that caused a lot of people to get out of it. And kind of there was a transition period where I knew I was going to be around more, which allowed me to give more time to lizards. And after having some upsets with chondros that, we can all relate to, I just kind of decided, I'd keep a group of babies that were done with a breeding loan with a friend of mine back in the day that we had. And I kind of just kept those and just kind of rode it out with them. And so I do have chondros, but they're not my focus anymore. I appreciate them as a species. I'd love to see them in the wild, which I will.
Well, I'm gonna love to see what you're about to show us, because these aren't like your just normal chondros. I'm sorry, man, but these are potent. These are amazing. So why don't you show us some of the holdbacks that you've had? And these came from 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Yeah, these are a couple of years old now, which it's kind of tricky to get some of the coloration on them.
That's a good. That right there is good lighting right here. Okay. Well, yeah, that is perfect.
Cool. So yeah, we've got a couple clutches. This one actually is in blue right now. That's going to be shedding. But these are from different pairings.
Are these siblings right here?
No, these are.
Oh no, you said different pairings.
Yeah,
oh, obviously,
from two different pairs. But the rest of them are all siblings to this one, which we've got some nice stuff. Another one. This one is also in shed, but this one.
Look at that one, man.
A lot of black on it, and that'll be shedding any day now. And that's retained a lot of that black color.
I'm pretty sure that black's going to either stay or grow on that one, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have not been power feeding. I could definitely have fed more and gotten them bigger by now, but again, it's like,
look at this.
They're doing great.
This is one of my favorites. One of my favorite Neos, or I would say, sub-adults that you're holding back and raising up. Yeah. Man, bro, it's good. I mean, even you can't just let this thing go. Like, this is...
Well, for the right, I've been looking for trades, so I think Marshall and I hopefully are going to be working out.
I mean, I think that's someone who could carry the weight, who could trade you something amazing.
I still would like to trade one more for something nice, but it has to be,
has to be nice.
Equal trade. But yeah,
there it is. Look at that thing, bro. Oh my! And then both of these actually, two favorite.
And a couple of really wacky black ones. And these two are sticking here, but the others...
Look at that one, dude. That is nuts. Yeah. Look at that one. That is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and these are ready to be transferred. Like, literally, I'm just waiting on...
those cagings, right?
Some perches over there, and these guys are going into their adult caging, so...
Man, these are all insects, right?
Yeah, but I've got some hunches on them. For sure.
What are your hunches on these two?
I think this is a girl. It wouldn't surprise me if this one was a boy here. But this one's just so big-bodied.
Now, you told me if you could avoid brother and sister hookup, please do. But, for instance, what about in this case?
I mean, sure, you could try it. But I would prefer to, that's why I've been reaching out to a couple folks and, would like to get something that I could outcross. And
Right.
it's just, to me, it's just a fun project. It's
Right.
not like, it's not like I'm making my living on chondros, so, yeah.
Man, it's epic. Now you do have a couple adults also, right?
Yeah.
How's that newspaper one doing? Did she recover?
Oh, yeah, right? So I've got this girl. And then, this was the newspaper girl who could actually...
So last night, as Bryan was showing this one off, oops, sorry.
Don't want you,
I mean, way different than last night. Last night she wanted to fucking take your head off.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's it's nighttime, you know what I mean?
We can walk outside and get a little color on her. Actually, let's try right here. Maybe we'll get some light. No. Back.
Never mind. Dodo bird, and you can take a shit.
Sure, let's come on over here. I mean, you can really see.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It's just a stunner. So this is mother to some of those babies in there.
Which you produced this one as well, right?
Yeah, this one technically, this was a breeding loan with David Newman back in the day. So David oversaw the project. So I can't take credit for like producing this girl, but it was my male that he used. Mm-hmm.
And this is how old?
She's probably maybe 8 years old.
Wow.
Somewhere in
And
there.
she's produced only one clutch or two clutch? How many clutches?
2 clutches.
Okay.
2 clutches. Yeah.
Sheesh, it's beautiful, man. So this is a nursery in a sense we're about to walk into, right? Mm-hmm. All right, let's check it out.
So this is when everything kind of hatches out. This is where their first stage of life is. I raise up a lot of the geckos in racks just because it's very simple for them. They can find their food easily. It holds humidity very well. If I took these babies and put them into something very large, they would not do very well out the gate.
They would kind of shut down, right?
Yeah, it's just, it can be harder on humidity for them at a smaller age and finding food. It's a weird thing because you think, well, how do they do it in the wild? But it's just a formula that works really well. And as they get older, they either go into a step larger, and at this point they're either if they haven't been sold at this point, they're either my holdback that will then go into an adult cage, or they're being sold off. So they're just temporary setups until their final stage of life being a new home, whether it be with me or with somebody else.
Wow.
This here is a really nice super blotch gargoyle gecko. This is some project that I really enjoy. I love the gargoyle geckos. You just get a lot of variability from super blotches to really nice stripes. There's just kind of like endless possibilities. Again, a very polymorphic species where you can get all different colors from oranges to reds, blacks, whites, yellows. They're just a fun species to work with in that respect.
Now these you're showing us are like subadults?
These are holdback. These are juveniles. So this is a subadult here, and then these are babies essentially. So, and so I'll raise up my kahua in here as well. This is probably one of the nicest kahua that's in my collection, just almost all white. Very, very nice animal. That stays here.
That stays here. Let that be clear.
That's the future for me, for
That's
my
the franchise
projects.
right there.
Yeah. So I just like to use, cardboard just to start, just because it's very easy to keep clean and swap out. But the cool thing about kahua is they'll start out very, very brown as babies. And then as they get older, they start developing their coloration. So this is like a recent hatchling to an animal that is a few months shy of a year.
Wow.
That's your difference right there.
Is that the one that just hatched yesterday?
No, different
No.
one. Different one, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But the Kahua projects have got some really fun stuff going on.
Definitely.
And we saw those leaf tails out there. We also have some baby leaf tails. Not super baby, but these were December, right before the new year.
Oh, that's so neat.
But that's a little
tiny one.
Mm-hmm. That's your rough-throated leaf-tailed gecko. Look at the size of the tail on that thing.
That's so neat. To think this thing comes out of an egg is just nuts.
Mm-hmm. So, also working with some different species of cave geckos, like our Goniurosaurus. Here's a little Japanese cave gecko. They're kind of flighty little guys, but this one has a little regen tail. But really nice colors on them.
What's a regen tail?
Just a tail that had popped off at one point.
Oh, okay, so it's coming back.
Grew a new one. Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you this. I mean, is that kind of like a holy shit, like you just now diminish the value of this gecko if the tail comes off? Or, I mean, how does that work?
It depends on the species, how readily available it is. For me personally, like if there was a gecko species that I really wanted that is not easy to get, and it has a regen tail, if I'm breeding it, I don't really care.
Right.
But if it's something where there's a lot of, like for instance, crested geckos, people can be a little bit more picky. They may be like, that one's never going to get a tail again because the crested won't regrow their tail, unlike the cave geckos. And so they may choose like elsewhere, and I may have to lower my price with that animal, unless it's top tier, in which case if a breeder's buying it, it doesn't matter because the value to them is in the genetics, not the aesthetics.
Right, gotcha. And the babies don't come out like that, so.
Exactly. So yeah, these are all like lychees here. We've got lychees, we've got gargoyles, cresteds, kahua, some more leaf tails, grow outs. We've got more. You know, the other beautiful thing about a lot of the new cal stuff and the leaf tails is you can room temperature incubate.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've got a lot of these at room temp, whereas some others I have that are, you know, incubating at a temperature that I've got set in here. So these are all eggs of different animals, and it does not look like we have any hatchlings today.
And what are the temps inside the incubator, and then what are the temps inside the ambient in this room?
This room is similar in the low 70s.
Okay.
That's kind of like what I like to use for all my rooms, is just kind of a pleasant temperature. I can go cooler if I get lower in the room, or in the room that we're about to go into, I can lower temps by opening windows during times of year or using the AC unit. So every single room that's in here has its own mini split where I can control the temps. I can cool it down or warm it up if I need to, depending on what species I'm working with.
Gotcha. That's so neat. And I noticed every room has its own mini split, man. I think that's so important to kind of, for anyone else to take note of. Like, you know, you gotta have to have temperature control in every room, I think, right?
Yes.
All right, now, man, this is a dream of mine to have. And, you know, I don't know, man. A lot of people say you gotta have low temps to keep these things right. And we are in his Abronia room now, which I don't think I have a room in a house that gets this cold. I really don't.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, our temps, I mean, again, we're in low 70s. So, you know, with these guys, if I want to lower temperatures, I can open the window and get a drop. Otherwise, again, I can use the mini split system and cool it down. Well, I work with a few different species of Abronia in here. We've got the Lithrochyla, the Mixteca, and the Taeniata. The Lithrochyla is the species that I've been most prolific with. This is the 4th year now of producing these in a row. So I've got multiple generations of true captive bred offspring. A lot of stuff in the past is kind of when they were coming in by the boatloads, you know, they were being pawned off as captive bred, and a lot of times they were not. There were folks producing them for sure, but we've got a couple different generations of babies here from some of ours that were from last year. This one is just a year old right now. And these guys come out like little threads. He's actually might pop my finger. He's looking for food.
Oh, look at it.
But that's a little Lithrochyla, and it's just now, if you look on its head, it's starting to get its calico spotting. So these also go through an ontogenesis, a color change from baby to adulthood, similar to like what a chondro can go through. And yeah, so we've got these babies from 2 different bloodlines from last year, and here's another. They are hungry. Taken off. But then we have these babies that were born just in the past week here. And if you look very carefully on top of the cork,
look how tiny that is.
them. See if I can spook them back towards the front. Yeah, so right there is one of the fresh babies that just was born. And these are live bears, so I'm basically looking in the cages every day for little tiny worms like these guys to be running around, and they are tiny.
So they can be tough to find sometimes, I'm assuming, right? I mean, you really got to dig really good.
Yeah, when usually you'll see some babies walking on the screen, and so once you see one, you know that you need to be digging through the cage and looking for more. But yeah, definitely a really cool group of lizards to be working with, and those that definitely need a lot more captive breeding. And yeah, just happy to be kind of contributing and producing offspring, because so many of them would just come into collections and it'd be like a black hole, they just disappear.
Now, do you still have to be wary about where you buy? I heard at one point they were being smuggled in here a lot, and there was just some species that were known that weren't being worked with, and now they're popping up. And I hear you just don't, you almost don't want to be caught on that radar. Essentially, is that true?
Yeah, I mean, an interesting thing is there recently was a group of Abronia that apparently had come in with paperwork, so they are legal.
Oh, cool. Legit.
So a lot of those have come in. I don't know the origin of where they came from or so forth. I just have heard and seen photos. So yeah, I mean, that's a good step, to at least have that paperwork. That's a good foundation for us. But yeah, I mean, usually the way I look at it with anything, whether it's tree monitors or anything that could be questionable as to whether or not it's captive bred, is if you're getting an animal from somebody, they should be able to provide baby photos of that animal. Or at least a birthing or a hatching of that species.
I mean, it's kind of like asking for a receipt nowadays. Like, it's kind of common for anyone to be like, here are photos of the babies, here are the parents. Like, that's kind of like something that the breeder would want to have on deck.
Exactly. I would always say ask for that if possible. I ran into someone at Tinley this past show, and we were talking about captive bred tree monitors, and someone was claiming that somebody had a yellow that was captive bred, and my first response was, who produced it? And did they have photos of it? And nobody knew who produced it, or there was no photos of them being hatched. And so that's just the type of thing, like, if somebody's producing that stuff, they're going to be sharing it. They're going to have that evidence because it's a special thing.
Yeah.
It's not like a ball python clutch that just, this is your 100th one and you're not taking photos of it. No, this is a novel thing. It's a tree monitor or a Bronia or whatever it may be, whatever the species is. Generally, you're going to have some documentation with that.
And
or
any
at least
breeder,
a trace back to who
right.
did it.
And any breeder would want a paper trail to them if they actually produced it. Like,
Exactly.
why wouldn't that? So that's why it's super like automatic. If someone's not trying to provide information for a USCBB, well, because connect the dots right there.
Exactly. But no, I mean, it's definitely cool to see these come in a legal form. So that's great.
Cool.
And just kind of opens it up for these guys, I think. But hopefully there'll be more production of them. So we'll kind of see how it goes. And we're still waiting on a lot of these females to drop. So, any day now, this is the season when you generally will get babies. So this was it's one of our big females right there, and all different colorations.
Are you gonna show us something? What you say you're gonna show?
Yeah, this is mother to the babies, but and to give you an idea of what they can transform into, she actually comes from a calico line, but one of her babies from last year, let me see if I can tickle her out of here.
Oh, there it is.
So just to give you an idea, again, polymorphic, there's a trend here in things that I like, but this is a sibling to those little tiny babies that you just saw. This is a sibling.
Look at that thing, bro.
And this is mom.
Wow,
So
way
people
different.
would be like, lots of times they'll see a baby and they're like, oh, what does mom look like? Well,
You can't really compare
the
that.
genetics speak for themselves. You know, this is a very, what I would call a high expression calico.
Trying to get a good shot of it. There we go. Cool.
Very high expression calico animal. And mom, and if we come over here, ooh, she got me good. So if we look in here, somebody I think rolled up. So if you look at that little baby, if you pan in, and there's another right there.
Get this one. There we go. Got it.
So that little Abronia baby is exactly what this girl looked like when she was that age.
So just silver, just like that.
Mm-hmm. And this is this mother's second year of producing. She skipped last year, but this year she has her babies, and this was from 2 years back.
That is so neat. And you've only made one like this? Like this is the first one that you made like this? Oh no.
No, I had a bunch. I just sold them all. I kept one. I kept one back. Actually, this animal was sold and somebody backed out of the sale. So I'm like, yeah, we'll raise her up and see how she is. And
yes,
you know, I'll take that all day.
That didn't work out
because
for that
people
person.
see the babies and they question it and they don't always believe you when I tell them, like, if they're from a calico line.
Right.
And then once they get to this size, it's like there's no denying it. But by that point, the price goes up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a little love bite.
Let me get that. Wait. Doesn't want to let go of you.
No.
Dude, that's bitching, bro. Really cool room.
Thank you.
No pun intended. All right, Brian. So as I said, man, this is by far one of the most impressive facilities I've ever been to. You know, I got to say you're putting a lot of thought, but more importantly, a lot of passion behind everything you just showed us. So I know you're going to get a lot of great, amazing feedback from this vlog. First off, if anyone out there is curious about where to see what you have available, as far as geckos, tree monitors, would sundownreptiles.com be the best place to look, or Instagram? Where should people go check you out?
Yeah, you can always start on the website for sure. I post a lot of my new updates on Instagram and Facebook. But if you're looking for something in particular, shoot me a message. Got a lot of stuff too that isn't always on the website that I just kind of have on the back burner or haven't gotten around to posting. So, but definitely, yeah, you can hit me up in any way. And as with anything, I mean, when you buy from me, you know, there's a lot of folks out there to buy from, but I've got a lot of experience with all these species.
Right.
And so when you buy from me, you're getting that information and that knowledge as well. And that's kind of one of my sales pitches for purchasing from me. So thank you.
My man, thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for tapping in with us. Do me a favor, drop a comment what you like best out of this vlog, but also drop a comment if you think this guy should start a Patreon. I'm dead serious. If you think this guy should start a Patreon, I do. Drop a comment in the comment section. And again, man, thank you so much for everything. All right, that's all we have this week on the Trap Reptile Vlogs. We'll catch you next week, and we're out. Cheers.